you're anything like me, you have dealt with and still to this day deal with rumination and intrusive thoughts. Those can be some of the most frustrating things to deal with, especially when you're aware of manifesting and how our thoughts create a reality, because you're like, I know me thinking this is not helping my situation, and yet I can't stop thinking it because these intrusive thoughts are ruminating on a loop. And honestly, the fact that we are aware of how powerful our thoughts are can make these rumination loops even more upsetting to deal with, because we know they're not helping and yet we can't figure out a way to stop them. Hey, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. This video is all about how I deal with rumination and intrusive thoughts, because I was dealing with that a lot the past few days, and I just had a session with my therapist and we went over a bunch of skills that I actually did use to transmute the rumination, but we were able to kind of break it down in a way that I can share with you. Originally, today's video was going to be all about how to use affirmations to manifest, but I realized if we don't address intrusive and ruminating thoughts first, all the affirmations we say to ourselves are not really going to help, because we're not getting to the core of what is going on within us. If we are experiencing intrusive thoughts on loop, no matter how many affirmations we say to ourselves, we're not going to be able to believe them, because the intrusive thoughts are too strong for us to counteract with whatever we're saying. So we need to actually look at the intrusive thoughts and figure out what is going on inside of us. So I will be doing the affirmations video next, but in the meantime, let's get to the root of what is going on within us so that we can heal it, transmute it, and be able to actually focus and put our energy towards being in alignment and manifesting what we want, because you can't manifest a desired reality from a place of negative emotion. I mean, yes, you technically can. You can manifest anything from anywhere, but it won't be as fun, and you'll probably still experience that negative emotion in your desired reality. So is it really even your desired reality? Probably not. So the first thing that we have to understand is our intrusive thoughts that are playing on loop, causing us to ruminate, are related to an emotion that is within us, in our bodies, that we haven't dealt with yet. So basically the thoughts won't stop until we deal with the emotion behind them. And what is causing the rumination is the emotion. There's an emotion that you are not allowing yourself to feel, you're not allowing yourself to deal with, that is now sending you in your brain intrusive thoughts, trying to get you to deal with them by being so loud that you have no choice but to have to drop in and be like, what am I doing? There are other ways to deal with them that are usually unhealthy. So let's say you have any kind of addiction to anything, then that is you trying to avoid the thoughts that are trying to get you aware of the emotion. So basically you're not only avoiding your emotions, but you're also avoiding your thoughts. And that's when people go to things like emotional eating, substances, any type of exterior thing to cope with avoiding feeling and thinking. And I personally deal with this a lot with the OCD, and this is something that I need to address as a whole in my life, and we've talked about this, and it's something that I am working on, but I constantly have a really hard time allowing myself to feel emotions. So when the rumination starts, that's when I'll do some type of compulsion so that I can get rid of the thoughts. And if I get rid of the thoughts, then I don't have to go and deal with the emotion, because the thoughts aren't there alerting me anymore. The emotion's still in there somewhere, but I'm not thinking about it. I've moved on. But have I really? No, I just buried it deeper. And the deeper we bury things, the more bottled up they get. So when we are triggered, our reactions are going to be even bigger and even stronger. So the sooner we can deal with them, the better, because then we're able to release them and move on, like actually move on and heal. I need to take my own advice on this. But anyway, once we realize, okay, I keep having this same thought coming up, even though I'm distracting myself with this, trying to do this, whatever it is. Let's listen to the thought. What does the thought say? I'll give you an example from the weekend. It's a very general one, but it's just how I felt after being overstimulated, seeing so many people from my past. And it was, people are thinking negative things about me. I was too much. I was too this. I was too that. Just whatever. That kept coming up in my mind. And I'm like, why am I thinking this? So once we address what the thought is that keeps coming up, you listen to it, you hear it. Okay, people are judging me. That's the thought. Now we have to allow ourselves to drop into our body and feel the emotion behind that thought. So with my example of people are judging me, I need to sit and be like, where in my body is the emotion coming from this thought of people are judging me? That emotion I can feel more in my throat, and it kind of feels like shame. Like I don't want to speak. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be heard because people are going to judge me. And I'm afraid that if people hear what I have to say, see me, look at me, they're gonna think that I am weird or not good enough or whatever. So once we figure out what emotion we're feeling, in my case it was shame, then we validate the emotion. And by validating it, we just clarify with ourselves as to why it makes sense. So in my example, I felt a lot of shame in the past when seeing these certain people, because when I was younger, I would be overlooked by them. Some of them may have said comments to me that weren't the nicest, whatever. Like, I had a past there where I didn't feel seen or heard, and when I was seen or heard, it was never really for a positive reason. So by validating it, I'm allowing myself to understand why it makes sense that I'm feeling that way, and at the same time, it doesn't need to be necessarily true to the situation, but all feelings that we feel are valid, regardless of if they are justified or if they make sense in the situation. So after that step, we go to a skill called function of emotion, and that's basically where we try to understand the message that the emotion is sending us. So in the case of shame, you will typically feel it when you think you will be rejected by a person or group you care about, if characteristics of yourself, or if your behaviors are made public. And that's the message shame is typically trying to send us. Another example could be sadness. Sadness in general is telling us there is some loss or something isn't going how we want it to go. Another example would be anxiety, and anxiety is trying to alert you of some type of threat or danger. Then once you're aware of what message the emotion is trying to tell you, you can look at what it's trying to motivate you to do and act in a wise way. So in this case, the action that I used to make me feel less insecure and less shame about potentially being judged was use a skill called checking the facts and another skill called awareness of myths. Because most of the judgments and thoughts that I perceived other people might be thinking about me were just projections of my own insecurity. And I validated the fact that everyone can feel a little insecure around seeing people from their past, because we all have different stories and different traumas and different insecurities that come up when we are seeing people who we have dealt with before. And when I was able to look at it from that perspective, that helped me feel less insecure, because I'm like, okay, I guess we're all a little insecure about different things that we've gone through and different ways people treated us. Maybe somebody looked at me weird once in middle school and I see them again. They're not thinking about the fact that they looked at me weird or judged me or whatever. They're living their life now and I'm living my life now, and that's just something that I took with me to heart, but no one's thinking about it. So basically I just used factual things and debunked myths and limiting beliefs in my mind to bring me back to a place of clarity and alignment within myself, that we're all just human beings going through this journey of life, and no one is really thinking about anybody else except for themselves when it comes down to it. And using that skill of checking the facts was able to get me into a more regulated state where I was no longer ruminating, and I was able to go on with my day without having to keep checking back to those thoughts again and again. And when they would come up, because let's be for real, intrusive thoughts still come up even when you do regulate them, I was able to quickly remind myself, oh, you know what, it's fine. This is just a residual intrusive thought from this experience, but I'm good. And by using these skills, we're able to take control of our thoughts, and then that leaves room for us to actually start affirming the realities that we want to experience and that are going to lead us to our dream manifestations, which I will be talking about in my next video next week. So this is it for this video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!